I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For roll call, Mr. Wagner and Mr. Garber are not present unless Mr. Garber's still hasn't joined, so they're absent for the meeting. I'd like to announce that the board met in exec session prior to this meeting to discuss a legal matter and a personnel matter. Moving on, need approval for the agenda tonight, incorporating the additions and deletions, please.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnston. Oh, okay. And I'm sorry, and it's also to remove personnel action item 9C1D with it. So
moved again.
thank you, Mrs. Johnson. A second, please.
I'm sorry, what are we, what's the amendment?
To approve the agenda, removing personnel action item 9C.1D. You want to take a look at that, then I'll ask again.
Oh, I see.
No.
Second.
9C1, Mr. President?
9C1D.
I'll second that.
Judy seconded already? Okay. Any questions before I ask for approval? Okay, no questions. All those in favor? Hands up. Okay, motion carries 7-0. Okay, moving on. Need approval for the minutes of the regular board meeting held February 11th. The minutes of the education programs policy personnel and legal committee meeting held on February 20th, and the buildings and grounds finance committee held on February 25th.
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Eshelman. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Carries, motion passes 7-0. And turn the meeting over to Mr. Bremersky for staff recognition and student recognition.
Thank you and good evening. So this evening we have several recognitions that we're going to start with. So first and foremost, thank you to everyone being here tonight. March is our annual Youth Arts Month here in the district. And so we have a lot of students and staff from across our district who will be recognized for their artwork. But before we do that, we're going to begin with our National Merit Finalists. As you may recall, as a board, back in starting in the fall, we share with you information that we receive from the College Board regarding the National Merit process, if you will. And so this selection process happens in all school districts across the country. And so we're talking about millions of students that are in this whole process. And so every time we get notification of students moving through, whether they're identified as just getting recognized, a semifinalist, and every time we work through, we're talking about a really large population of students getting dwindled down across the country to a very small fraction of a percent. And so we are thrilled that we have 4 students here at Hempfield this year who have been recognized as National Merit Finalists, which is an amazing accomplishment, not only for them, for their families, for their colleagues and peers, but as a district, it's really great to see that our students are continuing to shine when you look at students across the country. And so we have 4 students. One was not able to be here tonight. Debna Trivedi, I want to just acknowledge she is not able to be here tonight, but if we can give her a round of applause, we will certainly go see her at the high school and congratulate her. But we also have 3 other individuals who are here tonight. So we'll Samuel Myers, Sienna Skaya, and Zoe Gaston. Join me up at the podium, please. So on behalf of the district, congratulations to the three of you. What a truly, truly amazing accomplishment. So let's give them another round of applause. As part of this next process, they'll be working through submitting all kinds of documents and potentially even receiving additional scholarships as a result of this amazing accomplishment. So. You stand. No? Okay, if you want to get together, we'll go on either side. Here we go. Another round of applause. And then our next recognition tonight, again, as I shared, it's Youth Art Month here in the district. And so unfortunately, our art department coordinator was unable to be here tonight. She sends her significant regrets for not being able to be here. Would have loved to have been. And so I want to thank Dr. Jamie Brown, who is here, is going to step up in her place. And so Dr. Brown, I'm going to turn it over to you. You should clap for her. Well done.
You for the support I needed. I'm a little nervous. So as you said, I'm filling in for Liz Burns. I'm her neighbor over at Centerville Middle School. And I'd like to, along with the department, welcome you to Hempfield's annual Youth Art Month presentation and boardroom gallery exhibit. We want to thank all of the artists and their families for being here this evening. And we are here to honor and celebrate our artists and our art program here at Hempfield. These 25 artists represent all 10 schools across our district, grades kindergarten through 12th grade. Each member of the art department will share a brief statement or comment about his or her work as it's projected on the screen. That student will then come up to the podium to receive an award. Your wonderful work here will be on display in the boardroom gallery now through May, and then will be returned to you shortly thereafter. During the remainder of the school year, art teachers from across the district rotate student artwork in the frames and to showcase and educate and inspire our community. So we're very thankful that we have these frames in here. But before I start, I thought I'd go down our teachers, because if you're anything like me, I'd probably start talking, forget to introduce who I am. So we'll start and just give a little wave. And we're going to start with Ms. Beth Blackledge at Landisville Intermediate Center. Next is me. We've covered that. Next we have Mrs. Macy Bui at Landisville Primary Center. Liz Burns cannot be here today, but she does teach at Centerville Elementary School. Mr. Dan Clark at Hempfield High School was not able to be here today. And then next we have Mrs. Amy Edwards at Hempfield High School. Ms. Erica Quebeco at Hempfield High School. Mrs. Lauren Miller is also at the high school, but unable to join us today. Mr. Mike Palmer at Mountville Elementary School. Mr. Jonah Kleinmeyer at Rohrstown Elementary School. Mrs. Carla Rupp at East Petersburg Elementary School. Miss Amy Smith at Landisville Middle School. And Mr. Dan Zadilla at Farmdale Elementary School. Okay. Okay, we're going to begin with Centerville Elementary School and Mrs. Burns awardees. So if I could have Miss Maddie and Reese and Evelyn, if you could join me up here. I'm sorry, I don't know who you are, so hopefully you're brave and you come up here. Okay, so first we're going to start with Maddie. And Ms. Burns shares that Maddie writes that my favorite lesson was the value drawing, so I truly felt free to just go crazy with it. I just drew some angles and curves and the rest came out easily. For the collage, I wanted to do flags from the beginning, so I decided why not do 4? The rest just happened. Congratulations, Maddie. Next, we have Reese Simeon. When I first started making these pieces, I was originally only going to do 1, but once I finished the first one, it still felt like I had to do more. So I started another piece. My idea for these pieces was to make them opposites. My first one is a circle with straight lines dividing it. My second one is a square with curved lines dividing it. So the pieces are very different, but they are alike in many ways. Both pieces show a wide range of value. Another way they are alike is both have a lot of patterns. These 2 pieces were really fun to make, and I'm happy to get to share them with you. Congratulations, Reese. And last but not least, we have Evelyn. Evelyn writes that art is always fun for me. Sometimes it makes me excited, and sometimes it calms me down. I started private art classes late in the 2nd grade, and I loved them immediately. Congratulations, Evelyn. Congratulations to you.
Could I ask a favor? When the students, you introduce them, have them step up so we know who's who.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Next, I'm going to go with students from Centerville Middle School. So if my 2 students could come join me, Finn and Hannah. Okay. So Finn and Hannah both are amazing artists in my classroom, and their artwork works through personal stories, through self-representation, and they're giving me a break today by sharing with you a little bit about their process. So first I have Finn, who's going to tell you a little bit about the printmaking process.
This piece started with a
Could you come to the microphone, please?
This piece started with a self-portrait drawing, which I then used as a template to print as a whole piece. I used the watercolor printing process as the base and added in other materials to make it more interesting. The emotion in this piece is meant to be hard to figure out. It's not just one feeling, but a mix of chaos and different emotions. The goal was to make the viewer think and interpret the piece in their own way, leaving them with a sense of confusion.
Right, and next we have Hannah Whalen, and Hannah's going to share with us how art class feels.
Art class is a space where you are free to express yourself and your emotions. The beautiful thing about art is that everybody sees a piece differently, and in art class you can see all different perspectives and how everyone creates something amazing in their own way.
Good evening. I'm Amy Smith, as was explained earlier, and I am going to honor Emily Machado, who happens to be a former student of mine also, and I did not see her come in. Did I miss her? Okay, I'm just going to read the statement that speaks to her clay pieces that she made. She says, "My name is Emily Machado and I am a senior. I love clay because it can be so versatile. I can make everything from dinnerware sets to sculptures to decorative pieces. Clay class has allowed me to explore this unique medium while learning." So we want to honor Emily. Please join me by clapping for her. And then Mr. Zadilla. Yes.
Hey, everybody, I'm Dan Zadilla from Farmdale. If I could have Lila White and Alana Reinhardt come on up. Come on up. So this is Lila White. She's a sixth grader at Farmdale. I chose Lila. She's made great work for the past. We've known each other for 7 years. She always goes above and beyond, does great things. I really like we did a project that was a surreal collage. So surrealism is sort of weird, dreamlike art. And I love that she took this starfish and kind of made it the main character with a watch and a hat. And she put text in it. I just thought it was special. Loved it. Her statement is, you don't want to read it, do you? Okay. Her statement said, "Art means a lot to me. It helps me with a lot of things like calming me down, using my creativity, and helps pass time when I need something to do. I have loved art since I was little, and I don't think that's changing anytime soon." So congratulations. And here we have Alana Reinhardt in kindergarten. So I've only known Alana for a little bit, but I thought this butterfly she made was beautiful. Kindergarten art can be a wild space, right? And Alana's work is always very neat and considerate. And I thought her butterfly was excellent and symmetrical. Not that it always has to be symmetrical, but it worked. Her statement is, "I like to make art at home and at school. Making art calms me down. I love to color and draw. My favorite art to make is drawing pyramids. I loved painting my symmetrical butterfly." So congratulations. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, greetings, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to honor these students. The student that was chosen to represent Mountville is Reina Torres. I'm going to accept the reward for her awesome work. This is just a small selection that we're displaying here tonight, but Reina really has invested her whole being into creating. She's been walking artwork to my art room every single year since she was very, very young, showing me sketchbooks and individual artwork. She is just intrinsically invested in herself and creative thought and exploration. And she's moving from traditional media. She's heavily invested in digital art. So in her frame, you can see in the back corner many other digital pieces that she's been creating. Very, very interesting. A lot to share. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're going to be creating in the future, especially when you get to the high school, when you have a lot of opportunities with other media. So Reina, this is for you. Outstanding work, and I am looking forward to seeing what you're doing next year. Thank you, Reina.
Hi, I'm here to present Carter Monas. I just want to say a few words about Carter's work. I'm extremely proud of Carter for his exploration and his investigation in his art. He is an intelligent student and a very clever visual communicator. Carter carefully and thoughtfully curates his color palettes. He incorporates the use of non-traditional materials in his work, and he uses varying degrees of abstraction and realism. Using symbolic objects and text, Carter always speaks directly from his heart.
Hi, my name's Carla Rupp. Addie, you want to come up with me? I'd like to introduce Addie Griffin, who is representing our school at East Petersburg for this Youth Art Month celebration. She's a sweet and kind second grader and just loves art. Addie works hard in art class. She is not afraid to try new things and gets so excited about not just the finished project, but the process of creating as well.
Congratulations, Addie. I'm so proud of you and can't wait to see what else you create in art class. We have some pictures and her artist statement. I like art because you can use your mind and create stuff. You can express feelings when you draw them out. Some colors are really bright and that can help if you're feeling sad or mad. That's why I like art.
Would Paris and Charles please join me up here? So before you stand two artists from LMS, I have the work of Paris, which is projected up here, and then also Charles will be after that. And the statements I'm not going to read. I'm just going to tell you about the artists because you can read them and investigate the work yourself. So before you, you see two artists that are kind, thoughtful, reflective, respectful, creative, risk takers, diligent, compassionate, willing to stretch themselves, leading others, and growing artists. These words describe both Paris and Charles as people and as artists. It is my pleasure to present Paris Robertson and Charles Krauser as our Youth Art Month honored artists. Please join me in congratulating them on showcasing what they have learned and how they have grown in self-expression, self-confidence, and skill.
Everybody, good evening. Jesse, if you could come up, please. I love tonight because I get to honor somebody I'm currently working with, and then I get to see former students like Charles and Carter and Emily, who's not here tonight. As an elementary art teacher, I see them until 6th grade and then sometimes never again. So, you know, it's super cool to be able to see these kids flourishing and moving forward. Jesse is a 6th grader at Landisville Intermediate Center. So I'm going to take a minute to read his artist statement. I like art because it is fun and because even if you're not good at it, it's fine because you're the only one who needs to like your art. Another reason is that art has no limits. The only limit is the supplies to do it. Here at school, the supplies are provided. I like to create because I can create anything I want. I particularly like to sculpt with cardboard. It is fun because it's like a puzzle. I can draw the design, cut it out, tape it together, paper mache, and then paint it. It keeps me busy for a while and it's fun. Art is fun. So congratulations, Johnson.
I'm here to present on behalf of Dan Clark for Sanaa Hamill. And these are Dan's words. Tonight we honor Sanaa Hamill. Sanaa's amazing work is a result of her consistency and dedication to her craft. When students like Sanaa are in class, standards are raised and it lifts the culture of the entire class. Sanaa is exactly the type of student we cherish at Hempfield.
Good evening. My name is Jonah Plymeyer. I am Rohrstown Elementary School's art teacher. Tonight, I am honoring McKenna Troop and Trent Mayer. Please join me up here. I'd like to share a few words about McKenna. McKenna's quiet demeanor is not to be misunderstood. Her work is powerful, intentional, meaningful, and unique. Her understanding of balance and composition in the largest of her works displayed up front is just a small sample of her ability. Despite McKenna's calm, reserved demeanor, her artwork does the talking and gets others energized inspired, and moved. And Trent Mayer. Trent's I mean business vigor is expressed in his work. His focus and engagement in his artwork are inspiring to his classmates and I. Pushing the boundaries of what material can do is what Trent is after, and he maximizes this pursuit every art class. Successful classrooms, teams, or communities need people like McKenna and Trent to lead and inspire, which is why I chose them for this honor. I am confident their growth as a visual thinker and creator will continue once they leave Rohrstown Elementary. Congratulations.
Hi, I'm Macy Bowie. I teach at Landisville Primary Center. If Aslan, Jubin, Ryan, Miles, Meredith, and Declan are here, you can come join me. So I have 6 students because they worked on a collaborative project together right behind me here where they were creating connections with each other. So the students created the artwork about what brings them joy. Then they layered their artwork with a piece of clear Duralar and wrote words on it that they could say to someone else to bring them joy. Finally, the students created connections to another student's artwork that made them feel joyful. So I just wanted to read the connections that each student made with each other. So this is Aslan, and Aslan felt the most joy coloring her picture. She then connected with Declan's words, which were friends. Ryan, here, she felt the most joy writing about what makes others feel good because that's what she believes a nice person would do. She connected with Meredith's word, important. Jubin felt the most joy when drawing his picture. He connected to Miles' words, you look good today. Miles felt the most joy drawing the frame of his boat and coloring it. He connected to Declan's word, friends. And Meredith, she felt the most joy when drawing the frame, when she was coloring her artwork. She connected with Aslan's drawing of the rainbow. Declan felt the most joy creating his picture because his mom loves books and the bookshelf he created reminded him of her. He wants his family to be happy about his art. Declan connected with Ryan's drawing. We're so fortunate to be able to communicate through art while allowing it to bring joy to ourselves and also spreading joy to others. So thank you, LPC artists, for spreading your joy through your art making with us tonight.
Hi, I'm Amy Edwards. I'm a teacher at the high school. And Maddie and Savannah, you can make your way over. I'm pleased to round out the introductions of this year's Youth Art Month students. The students I chose this year exemplify joy in the art making process. Their work is carefully considered and constructed, aesthetically pleasing, and exemplify technical excellence. Beyond the works alone, I have witnessed the joy in their daily work habits, the joy in learning new things, and the joy in their achievements. Savannah and Maddie have chosen joy in their work, and I'm so pleased to present them to you this evening. Madison, yours is first. Madison is a sophomore who I've had the pleasure of teaching both semesters this year, one in Art for All and now in Fine Metals. I chose 2 of her 2D works from Art for All and an introductory fibula and face from Fine Metals 1. Maddie is quiet and reserved, but do not let that fool you. She has a lot to say in her artwork, and I'm very excited to see where it takes her. Maddie's statement reads, whether it's a large painting, an intricate sculpture, or a small doodle on a math homework, your art is a reflection of you. It's a mixture of your opinions, emotions, and even what you simply find visually appealing. What you create is a mosaic of everything you've ever felt. And Savannah is the next one. Savannah's a senior and I have had her in class every year of her high school career, and I chose work from this year's Hot Glass classes in Fiber Arts 1. Savannah is currently in the Army National Guard and will continue her duties as she prepares to enter college. It's been an absolute joy to watch her grow, and I will certainly miss her in the future. Savannah's statement: for me, art and crafting has always been relaxing, even when something goes wrong. It's a way to show my interests without the use of words. Another reason my art means so much to me is because I love giving it away. I love giving gifts to people in my life. Knowing I can make something personal that they'll like and get use of means a lot. Thank you. Thank you both.
Right. I wasn't prepared for this part, so I think we're done. I think it covered all of us. Thank you so much again for helping to support the arts, inquiry, and problem solving in the classroom. It's just wonderful to be able to see our connections throughout the district and how each teacher approaches working with their students. And speaking of different schools, we have a bunch of art show openings coming up. So we have the dates up there. So please feel free to check them out. Go to multiple art shows. Everyone does something a little different. It's always exciting to see what each school has. So thank you so much for having us this evening.
Thank you. Congratulations to everybody. Again, congratulations to our students, parents, guardians. Thank you for bringing them out tonight so we could honor them. And a special thanks to our staff, our art teachers, and I know there's other staff members here as well for the hard work and dedication you show day in and day out to keep pushing our students to not only strive and achieve academically, but also artistically, because it is another form of academics. So thank you for the hard work and dedication that you provide. And please, as Dr. Brown shared, please join and visit the schools when you can for their art shows and celebrations, because it's a great compilation of all the students in the school and their work. So thank you again.
Mr. Yes.
Every year I have something to say about art. Art is what, when we first came and moved to this community, when our youngest was in the 3rd grade, I've never been so impressed. We're like, if this was what they do for art, everything else is going to be great. Then my daughter graduated with a focus on art, and then she went to college, and guess what she did? She's a ceramic artist. That art, we may think we just do it here and what we see here, but art is so much more. One child said, art is life. And another was talking about how it brings you joy. They talked about how it helps you cope with emotion. And that's true. My daughter had a friend who was killed. How did she get through that? One of the main ways she got through it was by using her art, expressing herself. Art's more than a decoration than on our walls or on our shelves. It is an expression of life. And I congratulations to all of you students, but I have to say, you have talent, but your teachers have helped you refine and develop that skill and your talent, and given you opportunities that maybe you haven't even thought about. You don't have to necessarily go to college and major in art, but art is going to be something that you are going to use your entire life, whether it's enjoying a painting at the Philadelphia Art Museum, or whether it's something that you do yourself, needlepoint, or whatever it is. Parents, thank you for supporting your children. That's always important as well. Thank you to all the art teachers. You do a great job. And so thank you also. This is a night to celebrate you as well. Thank you.
Just to add to that, the art teachers know I come around and visit the buildings and the staff knows that. And for the parents, you see some of the work here, but it's always truly amazing, no matter what grade level I go into or what building artwork that is produced by all of the kids. I remember being a teacher and mostly being a middle school principal, and it's sort of amazing that sometimes the kids that really don't thrive in regular classrooms, as we call it, will thrive in the art room. So again, for the staff, for the art teachers, thank you for all you're doing. I'll be around again to observe some more.
Anything else? All right. Thank you again. Parents, guardians, you're welcome to stay as long as you would like. We're going to turn it over to our student council president, Lauren. Great to see you.
Just go. Okay. All right. Thank you for having us. I'm just gonna have Addie start us off.
So last month on February 7th, we had the winter formal and it was very well received by the students. And it looks like this will be a new fun tradition at Hempfield. The Flash newspaper reported on the dance in their latest issue, and there was also a feature on Hempfield happenings as well. The student reporters found that students not only liked the event, but they liked the change from a traditional dance format to a Sadie's dance. And we would like to continue this as a way to distinguish this dance from homecoming and prom. We also assisted with the second back to school night on February 20th.
Looking forward, on April 4th, we are sending representatives and officers to the Student Council Regional Conference at Cedar Crest High School. We went to this conference last year with a small group, and it was actually where we got a lot of great ideas. So that's what we are hoping for. So hopefully this will give us some ideas for future events and fundraisers. We were also invited to Conestoga Valley High School on April 25th to meet with student councils in the area to share ideas and gauge school culture in each of their respective buildings. We are excited to possibly partner with some local schools and future events.
We are currently working with Dr. Brossman at HHS administration on some new ideas for next school year. One possibility is a kickoff event for students before the school year starts. We are always looking for ways to expand our reach and make Hempfield a place that students enjoy to come to. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for being here. Again, thanks for the great work you continue to do for your peers at the high school, because the work that you're doing is definitely having a great benefit to the culture and the positivity in the school. So keep up the great work. Any questions for our student council? Okay. With that, Mr. Donato, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Next is residents' requests to speak to the board. The board provides a time of public comment for residents and taxpayers to bring their thoughts to the board, but it's not a time for exchange between the board, administration, and speaker. We ask that speakers refrain from identifying specific students, staff, or community members by name. Residents and taxpayers who are interested in making public comments must complete the electronic registration form prior to 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting. And I believe we have one request to speak to the board, Mr. Graham.
The only speaker this evening is Elizabeth White.
Good evening. I came just because I wanted to make sure my son had a voice, and I'm a little more frustrated since getting here. But good evening. My name is Liz White. My son is a junior at the high school, and he just received an award this evening.
Could you speak up just a bit, please, with all the
Absolutely.
noise?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My son is a junior here at the high school, and my daughter was a 2022 grad and is now a junior at Arizona State. So I want to say thank you first for recognizing the amazing artist. This is actually the second time that my son has gotten this award. He was here in first grade as well. And it's an honor, and I just really appreciate that you guys recognize artists because he just epitomizes art, and he's had wonderful art teachers here at Hempfield. Mrs. Johnston, I appreciated your words because art is incredibly powerful. And it is a means by which a lot of people express what has happened in their life and who they are. And Carter's teacher, Miss Kay, is an absolutely phenomenal human being. She is Carter's safe space here at the high school. She has guided him, she has taught him, she has empowered him, she has inspired him. And I just want you to know that she's a phenomenal human being. I'm here this evening, a little frustrated. I've been before you before. Carter's initial piece that was submitted was deemed inappropriate. Trust me when I say I would never allow my son to submit something inappropriate, so I disagreed with that. But Carter and his teacher came up with something different, which was totally fine. I was proud of him for doing so. Then when he came up with his new piece, the artist statement that was read for the majority of artists this evening was also deemed inappropriate. So then he came up with a new one. Okay, that's fine. I appreciated his flexibility. And then when I got here this evening, I was told that that was also, I don't even know if it was deemed inappropriate or if it was just decided that it wasn't allowed to be shared. So I am up here because I'm going to share what my son said because it is who he is and because he should be allowed to say it. So my artwork reflects my life experiences while exploring broader human themes and nature. I use pencils, paint, and rhinestones to investigate gender and social perception. Initially, I addressed topics like pronouns and name calling, but gradually focused on how my experiences relate to these subjects. Bullying is a reality that many, including myself, have faced. I believe in reclaiming negative words and transforming them into something positive. My first piece, Fab, symbolizes the reclamation featuring rhinestones, this reclamation featuring rhinestones and mirrors that invite viewers to reflect on themselves. Gender identity is a significant aspect of my life, often leading to confusion. Daily inquiries about my gender prompt me to question societal norms tied to appearance, such as clothing and accessories. This reflection inspired my second piece, Silver Linings, which addresses the assumptions made based on appearance. So I appreciate you giving me the platform to be able to share my son's words. And again, I would like to encourage you to understand that you are educating all students, not the ones that fit into your societal norms, what you think is right or wrong personally, or anything else. You are educating the whole student, including their heart and soul. And you now have a student who is questioning his value in this district. He knows his value. He's questioning how you all, or whoever made these decisions, value him. I work in a school, I've worked with children for 20 years, and that is simply not okay. So I'm asking you again to remember that you are educating and caring for the entire child, no matter what they look like or who they are. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Dean.
As you know, we don't respond to public comment. I do have a question though, in light of what was just shared. Who made the decision to censor the students, to censor Mr. Manos's remarks? Or is that what occurred and who made that decision?
I can get the details and give that to you.
Yeah, I think that's,
I'm sorry?
I will get the details and get that to you.
Okay. So I assume that was not something, okay, all right. I'll wait.
it's not something the board
Okay. Thank you.
did. That's the question you're answering.
I get it.
Okay, moving on.
Okay, I'm gonna keep going. If those allegations are true, it is deeply concerning. In the context of an art presentation, if censorship occurred, if content-based censorship occurred, that is deeply concerning. I don't know if it did or did not, but I will be anxious to hear the results of.
Mr. Keener, I appreciate your comments, but I don't think this is the right forum to start a discussion about this.
Well, Mr. Wolgemuth, I disagree. I mean, we're not responding directly to the public comment. An allegation was made. If the allegations are true, in my opinion, they are concerning, and I would like to learn more.
I think you have to let the administration do their job, which they said that they would do, and
that's
follow
what
up
I
with
just
you.
said. I said I will await the results of Mr. Pomersky's investigation.
I'll get the information.
Okay, Mr. Morrissey, Superintendent.
Thank you. All right, so just to follow up a few more things, as you know, that the High School Musical took place, it was a great event. I want to commend our students and our staff for really the great work. Also for the senior preview night, we had a great turnout, so it was really a wonderful evening. Spring sports have started, so we are in the process now of switching from all the indoor activities to all the outdoor activities, which are always dependent on weather. So weather is going to be a huge factor. So we're hoping for great weather like today to have great spring season. As some of you may recall, there were some questions a while ago around the old Mountville Elementary School. And at that time, the Mountville Borough purchased the former Mountville Elementary School from the district with $2 silver, one that was dated in 1901 and one that was dated in 2001. And so some questions surfaced in terms of where are those silver dollars? And we went on a large hunt. We're able to find those silver dollars. And so I'm happy to share that not only do we have the silver dollars, but we also have a nice commemorative piece around the old Mountville Elementary that we can now hang up from a historical purpose here in the district to have all of the details of the past. So I want to thank Mrs. Burkholder as well as Mr. Launis, our purchasing agent, who did really a lot of great work. Mr. Gamble, who also works with Mrs. Burkholder, kind of pulling all of this together. But we got a little worried for the silver dollars for a little bit, but it was glad we were able to find them in a nice safe spot. So did want to share all of that, that we now have that to display, which is great. The last piece that I want to share on the approval tonight for the agenda is our calendar for the upcoming school year. I just want to share a few things around that calendar. First and foremost, I know this was a request of the board for the last couple of years in terms of trying to find more opportunities for our staff to engage with parents. So next year, we are going to begin looking at K-12 conferences twice through the school year, once in November and once in March, which is a great opportunity for parents to have those chances to sit and talk, as well as a chance for staff to consider bringing students involved in those conferences if they're able to share some of their experiences and how well they're doing. The other piece, as we've been having conversations around a potential high school project, one of the things that we need in the summer is as much time as possible to do any of that work. And so one of the things that we are looking at is to try to end school as early as possible and getting that to May when possible. So that we have time in the summer when the contractors can be here doing a lot of that work. To do that requires a lot of shifting things around, and it's not always easy at times when we end in May for parents looking for those opportunities for students in the summer. So I have had conversations with Jeff Book at the Rec Center, the executive director there, around opportunities. So they have this draft calendar, they're looking at what they can do and provide. We'll also have the same conversations with the Nook and other entities and be able to share that information. In terms of when we have days off, I know there's a day in October. Sometimes people question like why kind of the middle of October. That's a day that across the IU, when possible, our intermediate unit has staff in all schools. And so we try and find opportunities at least once a year, when possible, for the IU staff to get together. So that's the day that they try to do it if districts can make that work. So that is what that day is for. And again, when we work on calendars, we try and get varying feedback through different parent groups, whether it's my parent advisory council, we take it to our district leaders, we take it to getting some thoughts and feedback from our union leadership at times, depending on what we're working on, making sure we're adhering to the contract. We do try and keep it similar year to year when possible, but if we are going to embark on any type of high school projects, we are going to need good amount of time in the summers. So at least for the next 3 years, that is something that we are going to need to explore. After that, different ballgame. Things can change and decide where we go. But I just wanted to explain a few things with our contract, with the calendar. And then the last piece I wanted to share is on April 2nd. We've talked about this in some of the Building and Grounds Committee meetings, and we're going to be pushing information out this week around a community forum that will occur on April 2nd in the Performing Arts Center at 6:30 p.m. There will be a district update that will include more in-depth information around the potential high school project. And so we'll be working on getting that information out in a variety of channels, whether it's online and print, et cetera. So that's going out this week.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, moving on, there's no president's report, so we'll go on to the representative and adjuncts reports. Lancaster County Career Technology Center, Mr. Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. The Joint Operating Committee met on February 27th at Mount Joy. It was a routine meeting in all respects. I'm happy to answer any questions people may have. And the next meeting will be March 27th at Willow Street.
Mr. Keener, it's not a question, but I had lunch at the Mount Joy at the dining area, and it's very nice. I'd highly recommend. Well, actually, I think it's already booked up for the remainder of the school year, but next year, if you have time at lunchtime, it really is fantastic.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, going on, IU 13, Mr. Maris.
Nothing new. We meeting tomorrow evening. I'll be attending that meeting. Bring that back, our next board meeting.
Thank you. Hempfield Rec Center, Mrs. Brady.
Yes, since we were here last, but I had mentioned previously about discussions of our lease agreement with East Hempfield Township. And in the interim, both the East Hempfield Township Board of Supervisors and the Board of the Rec Center have reached an agreement to extend the lease for an additional 25 years.
Okay, thank you. Safety and security, Mr. Garber's not here, nothing to, okay. Moving on, PSBA, Mrs. Eshelman.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Standing committees, buildings and grounds, Mr. Maris.
Yes, we met last month and we had a number of presentations. Fidavia, John Michael presented information on potential upgrades to the Hempfield High School Stadium, and athletic fields. We had a lot of discussion there. Mrs. James gave us an update on summer projects. She announced that the varsity boys baseball scoreboard has been repaired and is now fully operational. I think it was done fairly cheaply too. It was good news. Roofs at LPC and LMS been thoroughly evaluated by Tremco, and it was determined that both roofs are eligible for restoration. They do some type of coating that should extend the life of the roofs for a significant amount of time at a lot lower cost. Following the result of the RFP results, it's recommended that we go with Houck Stevens Incorporated as the selected company for this project. She also talked about costs associated with both projects will be covered by a grant awarded by the state totaling $1.5 million. Contract for the low bidder will be included in the agenda for approval tonight. And the presentation was also attached. She also talked about the bids for the new fuel station, and I believe we're approving that tonight formally. Or we did approve it? We're approving
You're
that
approving the
tonight
bids
officially. I think we were all, the board was unanimous in supporting that. She also gave us a summary of recent bids for the paving and concrete projects. And it's the contract for the low bidders will be included on the agenda tonight for those projects. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Finance, Mr. Wolgemuth.
At our meeting, we had a budget update from Mrs. Hall. It was an update on our projected expenditures for 25, 26. We also have some contracts on the agenda for tonight for approval, which we reviewed. And Mr. Keener made a statement regarding the Bent Creek Country Club around some of the adjustments we were going to make to the cost for that. And that's for the retirement dinner. And then we did approve the MOU for the school resource officer. So that moved forward at that meeting as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, education and programs, Mrs. Johnston.
We had a presentation of the curriculum cycle, and that presentation is actually posted if you want to look at it, if anybody wants to review it or look at it again. That's true of all of the presentations from that meeting. The secondary curriculum textbook approval was presented. Those books are over there on the stage and will be there for a bit longer. you're welcome to look at those, and that's why they're there for us and the public to preview. Professional development overview was presented by Dr. Dandridge. It just is ongoing. We talked about the comprehensive plan. I think that's when they meet, just details about what our staff is doing, and that also is available on board docs. If you have any other questions about what occurred during that meeting, check out the minutes on board docs. So, thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Okay, policy, personnel, and legal, Mr. Keener.
Thank you, Mr. Donato. The Policy, Personnel, and Legal Committee also met on February 20th. The main topics of conversation, Policy 239 was discussed around foreign exchange students. The gist of the discussion was how to ensure that our foreign exchange students have a fulsome American high school experience, including all of the normal things that go along with that, prom, graduation, things like that, while still not creating administrative pitfalls around the classification of students in a particular grade. We heard from a member of the community who spoke about that. The board had a discussion. The administration will be bringing back some additional thoughts, I believe, in next week. The other thing that we did was we amended the agenda to do an immediate first read on policy 715, which was to amend the drone policy at the request of Mr. Graham and the administration to allow our architects to survey the campus in furtherance of some of the potential design work. That moved to first read, and we will be doing second read tonight. Other than that, the policies for first and second reading consideration were mainly de minimis changes, and we will be voting on them as other action items this evening.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Keener. Moving on to personnel action items. First one, the assistant superintendent reappointment. I need a motion to retain and reappoint Dr. Douglas Dandridge II as assistant superintendent for the Hempfield School District for a 5-year term in accordance with a contract effective July 1st of this year through June 30th of 2030.
So, excuse me, so moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have one comment that I need to make before we go to vote. My vote is going to reflect something that might come across negatively, but I just want to be clear that this is not a vote against Dr. Dandridge, his performance or anything, but more tied to a concern around the ranges for positions, and I'll just leave it at a very general statement. So I just want to be clear that my vote is not a reflection of Dr. Dandridge or his work with the district.
And I'd like to read a comment. Mr. Wagner couldn't be here because he's on a business trip in California, but he asked me to read the following. I'm in favor of retaining and reappointing Dr. Doug Dandridge as Assistant Superintendent for the Hempfield School District for a new 5-year term beginning in July. I'm thankful for Dr. Dandridge for not just his substantial experience and years of service to the Hempfield School District in various capacities, but also for his leadership in recent years as Assistant Superintendent, for his efforts with a number of projects, and for his ongoing commitment to enhance our district, working to make it a better place for our students as well as our entire staff. I look forward to the years ahead and congratulate Dr. Dandridge on this reappointment. And I would add for that, even though you have the Ohio, I just could pass it up. Even though you have the Ohio State license plate, I second Mr. Wagner's statement to it. Okay, any other?
I have to say, I work with Dr. Dandridge, preparing for the, I don't know why I can't get my words out tonight, for the committee meetings and other issues, or usually not issues or problems, because he runs a tight ship. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate his responsiveness and how well he serves our district, our staff and our students as well. So thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. Keener?
Yeah, I'd like to comment as well. Mrs. Brady and I had the pleasure, at your request, Mr. President, of meeting with Dr. Dandridge just to discuss his desire to continue at Hempfield. Very much enjoyed those conversations. Appreciate the vision that you bring to your role, the service that you provided, and we are very hopeful that you will continue to serve the district for many years to come. So thank you.
And I just want to recognize above all things, I think of all, I could be wrong, but I think of all of us sitting around the table, you have the most tenure in the district. And am I correct? 30 years? Not quite 30. But I think that goes a long way in carrying forward not just your vision, but the vision of the district as a whole and of our community and what we're looking for. And so, yes, the conversations we had were good for me to hear how you're looking forward for all of us.
Okay, with that, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. Congratulations. Okay, need a motion to approve other personnel items C and D, which are the personnel action items and the returning extracurricular volunteers. And again, in C, it's 9C, 1D, I believe that's not part of. Correct. That we're approving.
So moved.
Okay, so it'll be all of them except for that one. Need a
Second.
second, please?
Second.
Okay, second by Mrs. Brady, first by Mrs. Johnston. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, I believe motion carries 7-0. Moving on to buildings and grounds action items. This is approval for the bid process, for the bids, for the fuel station replacement, the concrete paving projects throughout the district, and the roof projects at LMS and LPC, which were discussed during the buildings and grounds meeting. Bless you. And these will all begin, I believe, this summer, which is why we need to get them approved now so they can start finding all the materials to do this.
So I want to just make a note. There's a mistake on the fuel system. It says on the bid form, project underground fuel system removal. That was a previous project. It should be a new fuel tank system, but the actual bid is correct. Right. So just as anyone gets confused, but I think we can still approve that, correct, Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Need a motion to approve those, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Mrs. Eshelman approved it. Mr. Mayor seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries 7-0. And we're going to move on to financial action items. It's B through D, which is the contracts that Mr. Wolgemuth mentioned, the reports, transactions, and approval of the audit report. Need a motion to approve those, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Wolgemuth. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries 7-0. Other action items. First one is the approval of the comprehension plan, which we've had discussions during policy or during the education thing. So this has all been previously discussed. And we have to do this because I believe it has to be submitted by the end of this month, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but keeping to my nature, I'd like to submit it a couple days early.
Early, better. Okay. So need a motion to approve that, please?
Is there a time for discussion because it's a voting?
Yeah, after we get a motion in second.
So moved.
Motion first by Mrs. Johnson, the second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Maris, question or discussion?
And I just wanted to explain why I'll be voting no. I was lucky enough to be involved in the comprehensive plan this year. We did 3 nights with people from the community, students, board members were there, administration, lots of people. And then I know there was some public discussion about some of the wording used that was brought by that committee. I thought the wording that was brought by the committee and everyone there agreed on it was strong and was where I felt Hempfield should be headed. And some of that wording was changed to some words that I felt were less strong and less, again, like the Hempfield I want to see and I want my kids to grow up in. So for that reason, I'm going to be voting no tonight, and I just wanted to make that public statement.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 6-1. And then moving on for approval of the other action items, the policies, first and second readings, as Mr. Keener stated, additional bus drivers, transportation staff, the school calendar, as Mr. Bowerski discussed, the attendance officer, and the textbook adoptions, which, as Mrs. Johnson mentioned, were discussed during the last education meeting. Need a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Keener. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. Any discussion?
And I do have a question.
Sure.
Mrs. Goodrich, as an attendance officer, I thought she's a senior administrator. Is she, and I thought that was a support staff.
She is here.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want to explain? You want to explain?
Find the attendance citations for our social workers. We have students who have more than 30 on multiple absences.
Both the judges
Administrative.
require an approved signature.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? I believe motion carries 6-0, and a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Barris. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Brady. All those in favor? Motion carries, and we are adjourned. Thank you and have a good evening.